Diaspora International Platform, Deep for Africa, celebrates Black History Month today. And there are people from different nations. I would call the nations, but they're all from Africa, from the USA, from the Caribbean, and all over. And we are here to celebrate the successes of our heroes, our heroines, and people who participated to give us such a beautiful life so that some of us who come from Africa can enjoy the blessings of the USA. And right here in this place of celebration, I have the privilege to speak a little bit with Karen Hendricks. Karen is a Constituent Services Community Outreach Staff in the office of the U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen in the state of Maryland. I am so honored to have you, Karen.
Happy to be here. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you very much. And so, actually, for this celebration, we are looking at Rosa Parks. We are celebrating women. It's a season of women empowerment. And so we're celebrating Rosa Parks and her achievement. So creating a healthy Black history for the future is what we are actually looking at. What are your thoughts regarding her successes and how it will play in today's time with us, Africans, Americans, like that?
Well, as we all know, Rosa Parks is the mother of the civil rights movement in the United States. In 1955, when she decided that she was not going to give up her seat, that started an extraordinary movement that carried across the United States with the Montgomery boycott that lasted 381 days. So that sets us out with a woman of great determination, a woman of courage, a woman of uniqueness in her ability to be a little tiny thing, but with a great voice. One of the words that often describes her is that she had quiet courage, she had quiet determination. And you think about the use of the word quiet, while you garner silence out of that, we know that was not the case. And I think as we've seen most recently with women in the United States and across the globe, not just the United States, but my area of expertise is in the United States, that women are now encompassing greater leadership. One day, I am hopeful there will be a woman president of the United States. Africa is far ahead of us on that, as are other countries, but one day we will have a woman president. We have seen what the leadership in an 8-year period has meant, having an African-American president and an African-American first lady and 2 African-American children and 2 dogs, both of them black. So, so as we look toward the future, I remain hopeful. Although we must admit that these are troubled times. And I think what Rosa Parks saw and what she said as she looked at, racism remains an issue of great hardship. It has not gone away, but we must prepare our children. And I think that remains for us as you look toward the future. We must keep invested in our children so that they are able to cope and deal with what is I won't say a resurgence, because I don't believe it really ever went away.
Thank you so much. Thank you. What's an insight? I want to piggy on what you said. One day, we will be alive to see that there is a woman president in the White House of the United States. Why is that important? Why is that important? I know why it's important. Like you said, Africa has set the pace. We are all equal. We are people of strength. Our zeal is unbeaten. We are determined people. Women are determined. It's the still or quiet courage that is in us, that when we rise to action, something happens. Why is this important for us and for the legacy that we leave?
It is important for us, again, looking at issues of equity. Because women have babies, that doesn't mean we can't lead. That's one of the, and I think we know that. So what are the barriers that need to be reduced? And there are lots of barriers that need to be reduced. The acceptance of women in that kind of leadership position needs to happen. We're looking at a Congress now in the United States, the 116th Congress, where there are 127 women, which is an astounding and extraordinary number. There have never been more than that. That is inspiring. We see that there are women members of the Senate who are running for president. The more that engage, the chances become better and better. We can lead spaceships into space. We can lead universities. We can lead the army. We can fight in combat. We can be president.
We definitely can be president. I have had an issue with women fighting for women, and I want us to close on that because we're here to celebrate and to make merry and dance and have fun. But women celebrating women, I think it's time for us in this century for women together to understand that regardless of your color, regardless of your background, that if you are capable, which we are, there are women who are, need, it is time. We've seen different colors, we've seen different people. I think it is time that I would like you to send a last word to women, because this is not going to be just a Today show. We're going to be putting it in the ears of women, that it is time that we let down all these barriers. It is time that these invisible walls come down and women try to stand as a woman this time to push a woman forward.
That I think, as we've seen with other cultures, other communities, it's an interesting fight that we must fight within ourselves to make the determination that we truly believe this. And since we believe this, we will move this forward together. It is going to mean that the partnerships that must transpire will transpire across races, across religions, across ethnicity, across your sexual preference, and all of those become really complicated. And it also means that some of us are going to have to give up some of what has put us where we are so that we move together, so that it is seamless. And we only have the basis of one true election, at least in the United States in 2016, where we saw how fractured women became. And I believe we can't afford to do that anymore. It is important that we work hand in hand. One of the difficulties and while being positive, but one of the difficulties does reside with race and how we coalesce with Asian women, Latino women, African American women, and white women. that will be our struggle. Because race still matters. It still very much matters. And it's not only race, but it is racism. So that walking hand in hand, and in part that is the distinction between the 50s and the 60s with Rosa Parks. And once the women's movement began to emerge in the 70s, and they learned from our experience here in this country and the value of our movement, white is white. And unfortunately, what can transpire is that will supersede anything else. So we, as women of color in particular, need to stand up and say, okay, white women, we're in this together and we're going to make this work. If you hearken back to the Women's March in 2017, some of that tension existed. And you looked out at the crowd of those women, you could visibly see. So that was then, this is now. And I believe that we have an opportunity, and we need to take the opportunity. It will happen. I can't say whether it will be 2020. It may be 2024. Sooner rather than later would be nice. But we'll take it when it comes. But we need to move forward together without some of the animosity and angst. But it does mean to give a little up to go forward. So we'll see.
Thank you very much. We will see. And how we're going to see, we want us all to come together as women, break those barriers, and look at the future. It is very hopeful. Take hold of every opportunity that we have. It's been nice talking to you, Karen. Thank you so much. Nice speaking to you. Once again, I'm here with Karen Hendricks, and she is a staff member of the Constituent Community Outreach Staff in the office of the U.S. Senator in Maryland, Van Hollen. Thank you, and this is Afrique Today with me, Sia Matilda Banga. Please watch us on YouTube. Go to www.afriquetoday.com. Watch us also on This Time Africa on Twitter and download the app. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. For our children. I know I'm rushing ahead of my cameraman, but it's okay. For the fact that you are here and that rain would not stop you, nothing deterred you. It just shows who you are, the strength that is in you. Not just to support Matilda or Dee, but what you stand for. What is it that you stand for? What is it that you believe? Because I have something that I always say. Change does not happen because you wish it. Change does not happen because you desire it. Change does not happen because you pray about it. Change happens when you speak about it. And for something to change, you have to speak. Somebody must raise their voice so that change can happen. I don't know if you agree with me. But if you sit in the silence of your quiet place and don't say what you are feeling, let me tell you something. The TV is not going to hear you. We hear it all the time on the TV. Really? He said that? What's going on again? What happened downtown again? No, the TV is not going to hear you. You need to come out on a night like this. And I know that people don't get it. That's why I don't care if there are 10 people here, we are still going to do it. Because not everybody is going to get it. But we get it. That the TV will not hear you. In order for somebody to understand how you feel, and that you want to make a difference, and you want to make a change, you have to speak up. And you cannot just speak up in your living room. You have to come out of your living room. You have to go to the White House. You have to stand. You have to show that you mean something. So I'm glad that you are here today because each one of you is a game changer. Each one of you is a game changer. And that's why you're here. Ladies and gentlemen, Diaspora International Platform for Africa, it's not just a platform where people come and talk. We are doers. We are doers. We act. And what is very, very important is that regardless of where you come from Africa, Diaspora International Platform can be the platform where your voice can be heard. So I encourage all of you to be part of the platform. It is a platform where voices are heard, information is shared, and resources are shared. Please be part of the platform. Please come and share your ideas. We are here because people paved the way. We are in the US because people paved the way. I remember when I first got here, maybe in the 19-something, I don't want to say so you don't know my age. But I came here for a conference called Democratic Enhancements for Women. And it was sponsored by the USIA. And that was the first time United States Information Agency, or it's now called USAID or something. But that was the first time that I actually got to speak at Congress because they selected somebody from the team, for those of you who are familiar with international visitors, from the team to speak, and I spoke. And we left and we went to Nebraska and I spoke. And I was given a honorary citizenship by the mayor of Nebraska. I thought that would clap for me. But what I'm saying is that the mayor, Wesley, he heard something in me. He heard the fact that regardless of where you come from, you can break a barrier. Regardless of your route, you can make a change. Amen. And that's why I love the US of A. I love the African Americans, the Martin Luther Kings, the Rosa Parks. I love those who fought for us so that you and I can be here in the United States of America. I love the fact that America can be a place that can embrace each and every one of us. And I doff my heart. I doff my hat to all of you who were born in this country. Those of you who participated in paving the way for us. I really doff my hat to all of you. And I thank you again for coming tonight. I celebrate all of you. And please, like I said, put your information so that we all can talk a little bit and see what we can do moving forward. Thank you again. My MC here? Dr. Talema? Come on, have your microphone. We want to run with the program because we are starting behind time, and we apologize. The essence is for us to hear from great speakers, great people, and all of you. And then we can have some time to party. We all work so hard. I think it's time for us to have a good time. Please put your hands together for the MC Dr.
She did a wonderful job, right? I think she should continue to be the MC, right? So we are here. Okay. So how are you guys, everybody's feeling tonight? We are a small number, but hey, the number does not count. What counts is the quality. Okay, the people who are here. So you guys are here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I know we're talking about back home, back home. Now remember, we are here also in the US. Yes. Okay? And one component that we should never forget is the African American community. Because you and I here, we will not be here if they were not, they have not worked as hard as they did in this country. Yes. The reality is that when we come in this country, I was, at least as I'm concerned, that was part of my experience. When I came in the US, I was involved with the Haitian community in Boston. This was years ago. And they basically told me so many different things about the African American community that I was very lost until I came to Howard University and I learned the true history of this country. And the bondage, the boundary guesswork, including issues such as Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, public health, interacting with constituents across the state and government agencies. Representing Senator Van Hollen. You know what Van Hollen is, right? So I have some issues. I will need to carry to Van Hollen. Now I found the right way to do so. So I am not waiting too long. I want to introduce you. Please, just a big round of applause for this guy.
You didn't listen to me. Say my name.
Say your name.
Anyway, I'm going to be quick because I may stand between y'all and food, and that's never a good thing with my people. Pardon me? Can you see me? Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I want to first thank you on behalf of the Senator's office and Senator Chris Van Hollen, for whom I have worked both on the campaign and then in the House and now in the Senate. I am filling in for a colleague, and that colleague was blonde and blue-eyed, so I think she believed that I might have been a better fit. I'm not certain, but that's what I'm going with for tonight. I won't spend too much time. Part of what my task was to sort of pull together Rosa Parks and where we are today, where we were then. I should preface all of this with this is a celebration of Black History Month, even though it's only 28 days and 29 in leap year. We do have a month. I'm old enough to remember, and I'm not seeing anybody in here, well, maybe one, who old enough to remember when it was a week, and it was Negro History Week. So I am seasoned, we'll put it that way. There is much to celebrate. There's no question from whence we've come. Many of our ancestors are in the United States, are ancestors from all of your home countries. So there is much to celebrate from slavery today. But I would harken back to what is on the front of the National Archives building on 7th and Constitution. And it says, what is past is prologue. So we always have to keep that in mind. Because there's no question we should not be surprised when we see leaders in our country who are wearing blackface, or fashion designers that have nooses around their garments, or a news editor who has, I would say, the audacity to suggest that the Klan should come back, as if they went away anywhere. And I do not mean Black Klansmen. I mean the Klan. So it is, we're living in really interesting times. I thought what I would spend just a little bit of time doing is to put this in context and let Rosa Parks speak for herself, and then move into just a couple of thoughts about that. So reflecting on Rosa Parks as the mother of the Civil Rights Movement, as we know, December 1st of 1955 was extraordinarily important when she decided, nope, not today. It's not, as she has stated, that she was tired or that she was old. And she says, no, the only tired I was tired of giving in. I think that's always important for us to remember. We look at this year's, this is the 116th Congress of the United States, we can see that we are moving forward. This is a Congress that has the largest number of women. There are 127 women in the United States House and Senate. 25% of the Senate is women. There are 102 that are in the House. If you add the 4 non-voting members from the District of Columbia, American Samoa, the Virgin Islands, and where my people are from, and Puerto Rico, it's 131 women. So we are moving forward in that. So, we're not giving in. When you consider this is also an unprecedented number of men and women of color that are in the 116th Congress, the largest number of Black Americans at 55, 44 Latinos, and 4 Native Americans, which is unprecedented. There's been 1 or 2, but now 4 Native Americans. What do we do with this strength in numbers? And that I've been fascinated by the conversation here of how we must work together and work across the barriers that are unfortunately put up, and often they're put up by ourselves. So that notion of collaborating, again, looking back to Rosa Parks, 1955, what came of that was the beginning of the civil rights movement in the United States and collaborations between unions, various religious groups across the country, the education community, and some of the small mom and pop businesses who I want to say the business community was also involved. And that collaboration we really do need to see happen again. So that's Rosa Parks as a civil rights activist and starting the ball rolling for all of us. Rosa Parks as the realist, and again, absolutely appropriate for where we are today, when she says racism is still with us, but it's up to us to prepare children for what they have to meet, and hopefully we shall overcome. So this remains our biggest sin. You can't get around this. It's not original sin for those of us who were Catholic and remember original sin. It is an extraordinary sin upon humanity. And we've made great strides. The glass is half full. But it seems to stay at a halfway point, and then it's as if somebody pokes a hole in it and a little water drips out. We've seen an extraordinary 8-year period from 2008 to 2016 with the first African and African-American president, with Barack Obama, the first lady who was a Black American with her 2 Black children and her 2 Black dogs. There is no question having sat out in the ice freezing cold on that January 20th day, it is and remains memorable, but we are not post-racial. Don't anybody forget that this is not post-racial. That was not a blip on the screen, because I believe that the significance has clearly been exhibited by the number of men and women in the United States Congress who were men and women of color. I would say it has to be and continues to be our task for the children living here and the children living in all of your countries. Earlier today, I attended a spelling bee. It's Black History Month. You go to everything for the senator. And this was sponsored by Jack and Jill of Montgomery County, which I'm sure most of you know who Jack and Jill are. And I looked around the room, and what shouldn't have shocked me, but still shocked me, is that of the 100 children who were there, I would say 15 to maybe 16 at best were Black American children. One lone white young boy who was a delight because he was the only, and maybe a handful of Latino children. The majority of those young kids from grades 1 through 5 were South Asian. So when we have the National Spelling Bee and we want to know why we don't see people who look like us, well, we're not doing spelling bees in our communities. So while we continue to move forward, we have to give it a little extra push. It's as simple as a spelling bee. I mean, it's not rocket science, although clearly we need rocket scientists. So that degree of disappointment, we need to ensure that we do have young people who are looking at the humanities, including spelling, but they're all aspects of the humanities. There's art, there's architecture, there's the array of scientists that from chemistry to physics to all the things that in my youth I thought I was going to be a doctor, and then that first F in life said, lawyer, it's really good. But the importance of ensuring that we are preparing our children for what they need to meet. And one or two other brief comments. Rosa Parks, as what I would say is our mental health proponent, mental health therapist. She said there is so much hurt, disappointment, and oppression one can take. The line between reason and madness grows thinner.